Hey, BA fam. I don't even know what to say exactly and how to prepare you guys for today's show. Other than that, I am so freaking happy to see this woman's face again. It has been such a long time, and I know that y'all have been keeping Tiffany in your thoughts and prayers and praying for her and sending all the DMs and sending all the BA fam love her way. And we have been patient and given Tiff all the time that she needed, you know, to heal and to be ready to come back. And I just want to say, Tiff, like, I'm so grateful to have you back. And it feels very surreal to have you back, but I'm so ready to be back to Brown Ambition as we envisioned it, which was the two of us, bouncing off one another. And welcome back.
Well, I say back-ish.
Back-ish.
To my life.
Yeah.
Thanks. Honestly, it feels, I guess, a little nerve-wracking and good to be, because, well, I just want to be fully transparent. I'm still resetting what it looks like, what the new back. It's like, brown is new black or orange is new black, whatever that show was. It's like back is the new back, I don't know what that looks like for me yet. One of the things I'm sure, well, who knows, you might not, for those of you listening, might not know, my husband passed away about 5 months ago. And so I took, obviously, time away. I'm fortunate in that I have created a business or several businesses in life for myself where I don't have to work anymore. The truth is, I could have been stopped working a long time ago, but workaholics don't know how to not stop working. But, now I'm really conscious that, I don't have to work anymore. And if there is a silver lining, it's like, oh, the things I've been teaching y'all through the Budgetnista, like, I knew that it wasn't just rhetoric, but like when life really got real, I got to see like, oh, this is really life-changing information because, it put me in a position that I don't have to work, and not because of insurance money, whatever. I don't have to work because of the work I did prior, period. So I really got to sit back and ask myself, what did I want life to look like? I'm still figuring that out moving forward. Because a lot of what I was doing before was a lot of just autopilot. You work because you work because you work, bigger and bigger and bigger, more and more and more. And not even so much for the money, truthfully, because, I'm always wearing my Target's Best, literally. This t-shirt is from Target, and as are my jeans. And I'm sure even my bra, I believe, is from Target.
Okay.
So it's not that. It was more so that, like, I had this mentality, like, if I can get a B, can I get an A? If I can get an A, can I get an A plus? If I can get an A plus, can I get A plus plus? And I thought that that's how life was supposed to progress. But death is really clarifying. And, I have a new sense of, I don't care anymore. Now, meaning, like, I don't care about collecting the things along the way that show me that I'm doing better, that, like, how I am when I was a preschool teacher to budding business Tiffany to now mogul Tiffany, is each one of those stages was enough if I decided so. That I can, I don't need to quantify my worth by adding things to it. And so I'm getting, I'm still seeking clarity about what does that look like. I am partially retired because I know it's like, I went live on IG and I told everybody I was backish and like the floodgates open, but it's a new Tiffany. So the boundaries are here. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this. And even with the podcast, I told myself, like, I'm giving myself permission to decide while I do it. Because Mandy and I, she's been such an amazing friend. We spoke, obviously, we haven't been here, but Mandy has been there for me. And we talked a lot. And my knee jerk is that, like, oh, I got to come back to Brand Ambition because I miss Mandy. And I'm like, well, missing Mandy and Brand Ambition are two different things.
Yes.
And so I'm giving myself permission to say, see how you feel, because I knew, so I went to Bali for like almost 2 months just to like get space away and clarity. And I came back maybe like less than a month ago, a few weeks ago. And I got to write down the things that I did not miss and the things that I did miss. And there were things that kind of fell in between. And one of the things I knew that I missed, I said Brown Ambition, but I realized what I was saying is I miss Mandy. I miss talking to my friend every week. And I want to see if that's tied to this. I mean, I'm still seeing. And I want to give myself permission, but also I want to give transparency for y'all when it comes to that. I don't know, how I
Mm.
feel after taping, if I'm like, okay, this is too much. Or if I'm like, oh yeah, I really miss doing this, because I don't want to give false yeses, which I've been doing. Like, and so many women, we do this like your whole life. It's like, sure, I do it. It's not that big of a deal. I want to please. I want to make sure that people are not angry or upset, or everybody in my life got to get what they needed except for me. And I'm just not willing to do that anymore, especially now, because, the lessons that I've learned is like, well, what is the point and the purpose if you don't also get looked after, if you give away all of that to everyone else? And I'm just not willing to do that anymore. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that you ever heal from like a great loss. Um, but I do know, like, I'm grateful I have an amazing therapist. If y'all have been BA listeners for a while, you've heard me talk about Dr. Green, my coach. And she was an amazing coach. I had felt I needed a therapist like some years ago, but I couldn't find a good one. So someone suggested a coach to me. Her name is Dr. Green. She's a sister. I love her. And she's like, okay, I can coach you. Although she's, like I said, a therapist, because she didn't have her license in New Jersey. But then by God's grace, honestly, I reached out to her when I was really like in the depths of despair. And I was like, can you suggest a therapist to me? And she was like, just a week ago, because of quarantine, the pandemic or whatever, that I guess at a federal level, they have given therapists like passes to other states and you can apply for them. And she had applied and gotten her therapy pass basically for New Jersey. So she could actually be my therapist, and I could have wept with joy. And so
Mm.
so this person who's gotten to know and grow with me the last few years, she has really helped tremendously through this really like difficult and trying time. It feels surreal. Like, if you guys are listening, like the joke is that Jarrell's going to open the door. We're all going to be like, every time I tape the podcast, you're going to hear the creak, like, and it's going to be him like, you need a sandwich? You need that? I'm like, I'm taping with Mandy. And he's like, okay, I'll be back. And like to know that that's not going to happen again. It's just like,
Yeah.
it
I
just
never
feels
felt like I
like,
was just talking to you either. It was because you know that somewhere there's Jarrell loving you, being his wonderful self in the
mhm.
background.
And so
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know. I don't know anything other than like that. I'm just going to take it one day at a time, honestly, and
You don't
just
have to
really
know
figure out.
anything. You don't have to know a damn thing, Tiff. And I think I think the most beautiful gift we can give each other as friends sometimes is the space to not know and to not have an answer and to literally say, I don't need anything from you. Like, of course um, I want as long as somewhere in the world Tiff is a happy person and she's feeling fulfilled, that, whether or not I am near or the show is near, I think that's the gift as a friend that maybe even took me a long time to realize. But, and through the pandemic too, you have friendships that you feel have just had these like ebbs and flows to them.
Mhm.
Um, I guess all I'm just trying to say is it's fine. You don't have to say another word.
Yeah.
And when you want to come, this is a space you can come to, your passion and your knowledge and the gifts that you have to share in whatever form you want to share them in. Like, I don't see you ever stopping doing that.
Mhm.
And if this is one of the platforms where you can do that, like, we're all the luckier for it. And that's all. I love you a lot.
I love you too, Mandy. And honestly, if you guys have listened with us from the beginning, I mean, we have grown so much. We were just like two single girls when we started off, and we've been here. I mean, you've seen us get married. You've seen Mandy have her beautiful baby. I mean, all the things. You've seen her like crush it in corporate. You've seen me grow from like baby budgetista to where I am now. Then you've seen her strike out on her own. It's just, you know, it's like this living diary of like this part of our lives, that I'm really grateful for,
Yes. I know. When
And
are we ever
so
going to have time to sit down and listen to 300 hours of our lives?
I don't know that I'll ever do that, but it's out there at least. It's out there.
One day my
But
son's going to be like, "Mama, let's talk about this. You almost didn't marry Dada?
I
What's going on?"
know. But if I could like impress upon y'all any like kind of like words of wisdom, one, take so many pictures and video. I'm not for the sake of posting, but just for the sake of it. I mean, like almost like diary your life, because Jarrell's mom had passed away when he was in his 20s. And that was one of the things he said, I don't have enough pictures of her and I have no video. But Jarrell, he was like a secret vlogger. Like after he passed, I went through his phone, Mandy, so many pictures and video, like of just like him talking like, today was a good day. I did the laundry. Although Tiffany didn't cook, that's all right. I'm like, So, but to go through and see all those things. So I created like a Google Drive and I added all the pictures, all the video. And then every person that came to see me, there's this thing you could do in Google where you can say, if this face appears in your phone, add it to the drive. And so we have thousands and thousands of pictures and videos. So at any moment in time, you can hear him laughing or play or singing or just saying, I love you or whatever. So that, that's like such a blessing. Like, I mean, it's not just like when it's birthdays. I'm just talking about, it's just a Tuesday, And so like, collect that for yourself. And especially the mamas out there, so often you're taking pictures of the babies and you're not in it. Make sure like turn that camera around and put yourself in it as well. And then two, honestly, get your financial house in order. Like Jarrell and I were about 85% in order. And there were things we dragged our feet on. Like, for example, I did not have a will and neither did he. Cause I'm like, he's 41. Even though I've been working with Anjali, my financial advisor, for like 3 years. We met with her quarterly, the both of us. And every time we met, are you guys done with that will? I had Tony, who's my attorney. Tony, at least twice a year, she'd be like, let's get this will done. Because you're like, you can't anticipate that. But even though Jarrell didn't have a will, because we had a financial advisor and everything else, I knew exactly what he wanted, and as did everyone else. And so there's very little that like slipped through the cracks that the will had to cover. So that was good. But update also your beneficiaries, because like maybe just a year ago, Anjali was going through our beneficiaries. And for example, the one he had at his job, he still had Alyssa's mother on there, from when he started that job when he was like 22, and so update your beneficiaries, because there was one life insurance policy that he had ordered the beneficiary update form for, because it was like his homework. And I saw it in his inbox and he never signed it. And so that life insurance policy is not signed to Alyssa, and it ought to be. So that was kind of like, thankfully, like I have grown more than enough wealth that like she will always be fine. But it's like, and then, and that was really it. Like, it was like, because we had done all of the other work, those small things, it's not small because the life insurance policy wasn't a little bit of money, but honestly, I can make that money back really quickly. But still, I thought to myself, if I was still preschool teacher Tiffany, that could be devastating, the loss of that and that insurance policy. So I'm sharing this transparently because so many times we wait, like literally my dad is in his 80s. And I was like, his will is still from when I was 6. It was until like I put my foot all the way down. I had Tony. I didn't know this, but one of the reasons why we didn't do a will is because I thought it was going to take a long time. And I was like, I don't have time to dig through all my stuff. It was a 30-minute conversation with Tony. That was it. And in that conversation, she asked me all these questions and then she created the will. I was like, wait, that was it all this time? What I've been avoiding? I thought I had to collect. I thought it was like doing a will was like doing your taxes. You have to collect all of your stuff. And so I had her then, and then Tony said, I told her about my parents and my worry that they didn't have a will. They didn't have a healthcare directive. And she's like, I can create it. Just a general one, which just basically says something happens to dad, it goes to mom. Something happens to mom, it goes to dad. And I said, yes, create it. Because if I had to sit down with them and have these questions, they're not going to do it. She created it, their healthcare directive as well. I went to them. They read it over. They were like, this is good. We went to the bank. the bank and had them sign in front of the bank, and the bank notarized it for them, all within a couple of days. And so I just, because of the work we did, I get to just miss Jarrell.
Mm.
He didn't leave any debt. He didn't leave any like financial responsibilities that I'm like, what am I going to do behind? We paid off both of the houses we have, including our rental property. His car was paid off. The last thing on his credit card was some sneakers that he bought me, but he didn't have any like real credit card debt. I think it was like, like $80 or something like that. And so the blessing in that is I get to just miss Jarrell. And, we talk about money here in kind of like this like outside way, but like it really hits home, like update your beneficiaries, get a will done, put yourself in a position that you can just miss your loved one. Or if it's you, your loved one can just miss you,
Yeah.
because if there is, there are things despite the grief that I'm grateful for. And that's one of them. And I want that for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a mom, nothing makes you think about dying more than having a kid, like,
Yeah.
all the time. It's a horrific thought. It's a horrific thought. I never want that to happen, but it is. I was kicking myself after having like conversations with you about not getting that kind of stuff in order before I had the baby, because even those conversations only got more difficult when it wasn't just me and, my husband. It was imagining a world where I wouldn't be there for my son. But it's very possible. And like, am I going to let that get in the way of preparing or creating a soft place for him to land and giving
Yes.
him, exactly what he needs? So I hear you on that too. And I think for a lot of it's just like it's silly, that fear that we have to face the reality that, um, we're all heading
One
one
day.
place, you
Yes.
know? It's a certainty. Just you don't know. The great trick of life is you don't know when.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it is that like estate planning and getting the beneficiaries in place. And then it's also, the beauty of your message, I feel like too, is that financial empowerment on an individual level, so that
Yeah.
if you're the one left behind, you have those resources. So that you said you can grieve on your own time
Mm-hmm.
and make choices that are healthier for you. How many people get up and go to work the day after something
I,
like
I
that
was
because they
thinking
have
that.
no other choice?
I was like, Mandy, it's made me so much more empathetic as a person. I'm like, how do you carry this grief around with you and still have to go to work?
Yeah.
It's just, I was thinking that honestly. I said, because that's one of the things like Dr. Green, like she let me reach the conclusion on my own, but it was like in the beginning, I kept saying, this is the worst thing that could have ever happened. This is the worst thing. And then one day I realized like I was in Bali and I'd taken that time and I thought, it's not the worst thing that could have happened, because it is a terrible thing that happened, but in such a way that I am financially cared for. There is no financial burden left behind. I don't have to go back to work if I don't want to. I am surrounded by family and friends that love me and support me. Like, it's not the worst thing, because these things still exist. The worst thing is if everything is gone, and everything isn't gone. So there is still
Mm.
gratefulness to be had in the grief. And, I just kept thinking like, it's not the worst thing, but it's, I thought about like the folks in Ukraine who literally, some of them, their whole family is wiped away. That's not what happened to me. Or people who suffer every day from abuse. There was a woman who told me that her husband too suffered from an aneurysm, and he was in a coma. I want to say she said it was like 3 months. And when I tell you, I can't even imagine, because Jarrell went to the hospital on Tuesday and was gone by the weekend. Those few days in between were a nightmare, because every day you don't know if this is the day. Literally, I would literally be putting on my clothes to go to the hospital and say, please, please, please don't let this be the day. Please, please, please. Because every day thinking, is this the day that it gets ripped away from you? So I cannot imagine doing that for 90 days straight. And then he came to from the coma and did not remember her.
Mm.
And they've divorced. And she is gutted because she's like, he's still gone. She's like, there's solace in knowing that he's alive, but he's gone from me. I cannot even, or Jarrell could have lived, but then been a vegetable. For me, it's like, I don't even know, what do you do? There are caregivers, I don't know how they manage. Honestly, it just, life is just such a crazy thing. You know, you're going along as if everything small matters. And then something huge happens and you realize how little those things mattered. And so that's just what I'm trying to spend the rest of my time doing, is really identifying what actually matters and focusing
Mm.
on that, because in the end, like, I feel like Jarrell cracked the code. Like, if you knew him personally, he was one of the few people that lived as though they had enough. I used to wonder, like, you don't want to, why don't you start this business? And why don't you do this? Da, 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 da? No. I was like, oh my God, he's not motivated. No, Jarrell's like, I have enough. Jarrell, I mean, when I looked at his bank account, I was like, so we had personal checking, personal savings, and then we had joint checking, joint savings. So, like every pay period, I set it up from his bank account from his paycheck at work, that it would automatically deposit, like, and filter where it needed to go. His personal checking and savings was almost depleted. And all you saw, because he used to write himself notes, $1,000 for such and such friends so they could do this, $200 for such and such friends so they could do that, such and such straight A's on her report card, 500 here. And I'm like, this man gave everything away, because in his mind, he was like, I have enough. Like, he had $1,500 left in his savings account. And I know for a fact, because I heard him the Sunday before he passed away, one of his friends was struggling to buy a car. And he was like, I could put 1,000 on it. Like, I got you. Like, and I'm looking like, you have $1,500. Obviously we had, he knew we had investments, we had, like I said, our joint savings. But when it came to the money that he managed for himself, Jarrell gave everything away because he always felt like he had enough. He gave so much of himself away because he always is like, it's enough. And now it just, whereas I can tell by where I give from, the places where I believe that there's enough. And to see him give holistically, let me know that he just was really living this life where he was just like, I am enough. This is enough. I have more than enough to give and share, really giving from a place of abundance, where so much I was giving from a place, and so many of us from a place of fear, and like, I can do this, but I don't know if I could do that. No, that's just enough. Or I have to work extra, extra, extra hard, because the millions that I've already accumulated, even though I don't even spend them, can't possibly be enough. And I just was like, yeah, I don't want to subscribe to that anymore. The get it. So just to get it, me and Mandy, we had that chat the other day about, like, entrepreneurship and, like, how much really is enough when it comes to making it. I know that if I put my mind to it, I can build a company that makes $100 million a year, but at what cost? Everything costs, especially money. At what cost to grow to 100 million? At what cost to my personal life, my spiritual life, my professional life? At what cost? And so only you can decide that for yourself. But there's just so many lessons that I took away from living a more filled and fulfilled life, because I look at him and I'm just like, you really cracked the code, babe. You did. And sometimes I wonder, maybe that's why he's not here, because he's like, well, I aced this thing called life. I'll see y'all on the other side.
Genuinely.
Whereas I'm just like, wait, so millions are enough?
Well, it's like this notion in America that 6 billions and billions and being incredibly wealthy and founding your own company and revolutionizing some industry, that is what the ultimate success is.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds like what you're saying, and what I believe to be true too, is that is not what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, like, when you go back to that, like, that vision of you as a preschool teacher and who you are, and it being the same as today, I think that's the key. Can you put yourself in any situation with any amount of money, and still say that you're content and happy?
Yes.
That for me is that's the mountaintop,
Yes.
That's what I'm going for. And it doesn't, and for me, it's, of course, financial gain is important in building wealth, because then what can you give back, and what, how can you do it? But I want to be in the right mindset so that when, I have those resources, that I'm then able to use them in a way that aligns with my values and what I feel is important, so it all feels good and not like you're being pulled in any one direction. that you don't want to be
Because it's like,
pulled
if
in.
you get like this like outward success, how will it meet you? Like, I want it to meet me healthy, happy, whole. Because if
Mm.
not, then what is it that we're really saying? We see a lot of people with a lot of money and there's no joy there, you know? So it's like, then they accumulate more and there's even less joy, and they accumulate more and then there's even less joy. So it's like, no, man, I want to meet a healthy, happy, whole, you know? And so, yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't know what that looks like, but I'm trying to give myself the space and the grace to decide without the say yes because don't let this person be mad at you. Or say yes because you said yes last week. I'm the type, I would have said yes to you 10 years ago and be like, I got to say yes because 10 years ago, I said I was going to do it. It's like, yeah, no, you have, certainly, you try to keep your promises, but the biggest promise that you ought to be keeping is to yourself,
Yeah.
and I don't think I ever really believed that anymore, but I'm really leaning into that now. Like, like, for example, like, y'all know I have my online school, the Literature Academy. I stepped down as CEO. Because when I say death is so clarifying, I had like a list of things that I wanted to do that I was like, first I got to do this. And then like, I got to make sure of this. And I was like, and then one day I was just like, Tiffany, I've been wanting to step down as CEO for some time, but finding a CEO and putting the company in position and no, I just was like, so I'm not doing this anymore. So Tam, you're up. She's worked with me since the beginning of the academy. And certainly she's never been a CEO before. But I had my business coach, Diane, who has been coaching me for the last 2 years. Now he coaches her. And she and I speak whenever she needs to, but we have a standing call every other week. And it's my expectation that we will see a dip in revenue this year, maybe even next year, but she'll be just fine, because the truth of the matter is, and I let everyone know it's either that or we shut it down because I'm not doing it anymore. I love the mission of the Literature Academy and what it does, but I don't like being a CEO. I like being a teacher. It's not as sexy or as fancy or as I'm a CEO. I don't care about that. So it's either this or ain't no Literature Academy. They're like, we'll do this. I'm like, yes, I'm sure. And that company is very successful. As y'all know, we made 8 figures in 2020 with 10 million. We've hit our first 10 million. And I was like, okay. And I will walk away from it. And I just want to do the Budgetnista. I just want to be a teacher. I just want to, that's it. And so it was also hard too, because a Budgetnista, I'm someone where I wanted to hire as many Black women as possible. And so I did. We had a team of like 20 something women and they were getting good money. I would say, maybe 1/4, 6 figures and above. But as a result of doing that, and they were like, awesome, it forced me to work at a certain level that I didn't get as many breaks as like I needed to. Like, I took Fridays off and Wednesdays light, but I'm talking about like really not having days where, or even weeks or even months where I didn't have to work. Like I had to work to support the people that I had hired who were awesome. And it was hard, but I had to let some of them go. Not because of any fault of their own for the most part, but because it was like, who do you get to choose, Tiffany? You work yourself to the bone so everyone else can eat, or you get to decide you've done enough. That's been like the buzzword for me. It's enough, Tiffany. You don't owe someone your whole life. And the thing is so crazy. They never asked for that. My team wasn't like, girl, hit the track so we could eat. When they found out that I wasn't taking a salary from the Budgetnista, so everyone else could get a bigger one, they were like, why? I over-sacrifice. And I was like, enough, Tiffany. No one is asking you to continue to over-sacrifice. So we went from like 20 people down to 3, and I'm one of the 3. It's myself, my admin, Rose, and Logan, my content person. That's it. And when I tell you it's been so awesome that like, I would say of the 7 days out of the week, maybe I work 2 days. This is my only thing today. This is it. I'm taping the podcast. That's literally it. I went to the post office earlier to just mail something off to a friend of mine, but this is and tomorrow I think I have a call in the morning. And like, it's so crazy because when I finally realized I thought to myself, well, without all these people, we're going to make less money. As long as we make enough to just cover Rose's salary and Logan's salary. But that wasn't true. I came back from my hiatus to almost $1 million worth of business. I'm talking about spokesperson work, contracts, speaking engagement contracts, brand ambassador contracts, $850,000. And I was like, and I'm being candid about this because I want you to see the like what happens when you align yourself. Because I had told myself the story that if I slow down, it means business also slows down and fails. And that's not true. Life was like, yeah, actually, no, you're actually doing way less work. And surprise, here's almost $1 million for you when you come back. And I was like, wait, what? So it just is like so many times, you tell yourself a thing and you believe it's true. And then you lock yourself in the prison of that thought. And, what I'm learning is that like I can step away and business continues. I have done the work necessary and required to do so. I can put someone else in place and business continues. I can take a break and business continues, so it's just like all these lessons that I'm like learning from myself. And it just, like that one in particular is like, I had told myself all that time, like, wait, I can really be gone. Remember I took those like, like that 4 weeks off or whatever, that month off, and even that I had not really learned the lesson. Now I'm really like, no, you can be gone and you can never come back to that capacity and still be more than fine. And so one of my mentees, Issy, she asked me, she said, do you think you could have gotten here without the work that you did prior? And the truth is no. I'm not going to pretend as if you could start off at 2 days a week. That's just not how it looks. That there's a lot of planting and deposits you have to make. And it's only because I've reached the level of mastery in what I do that I'm able to now pick from the garden that I've grown. I'll never not pick because of so many seeds that I planted. So yes, you might be in your sowing season and it is a little hectic and crazy and a little overwhelming. But the key, and this is, Mandy and I chatted about this before, is that my garden has been overflowing for a few years now. And I was still sowing seeds as if I had just started. I had seen my goal and I ran past it and just kept running. I didn't even know how to stop. I'm like, wait, so the goal was like 2 years ago. We hit it. Okay. You want to pay off your parents' house? Done. Student loan debt? Done. Debt free? Done. No mortgage? Done. All the things done. Why are you still running so fast? And so like, I'm finally slowing down, and like, I hate that I had to take the loss of Jarrell's life to teach me how to live, but sometimes that's how it goes. But yeah, so it's just, yeah. So
while you were talking, I kept envisioning the peonies in my garden that the previous owners of this house planted. And I get to and I'm waiting. I see they're sprouting up right now. And it's around mid-May every year they bloom. And I just get to enjoy it. And I hate it because it's so quick. They're there and then they last for a couple of weeks and then they're gone. But that whole analogy around sowing and planting and like looking, but actually getting to sit down and look at it and appreciate what you built. Hell no, you are not an overnight success and you're just, able to do this. I don't think anyone who's listened to the show, could ever kid themselves that you haven't, worked incredibly hard to get to where you are now. And I think the message there is like, if you're in I like to say season of sowing, keep going. So that when something, whatever the need is, whatever the emergency is, whatever the unknown is, that you have something, that you have that foundation to lean on. Hey, BA fam, y'all know if you see anything on our social media and on our website or in our newsletter at Brown Ambition, you can thank our friends at Canva Pro for that. Canva Pro is helping us make content every single day of our Brown Ambition lives, and it's an essential part of what we do to keep this show going. Honestly, ever since we discovered Canva Pro, it helps us design anything like a pro on any device. With Canva Pro, you get a design platform that empowers you to create and share stunning content in just a few clicks.
What I like about Canva Pro is that designing together has never been easier. We use it over here at Budget Inc. as well. Sharing, editing, and commenting in real time, Canva Pro helps me stay organized and will help you too. It'll help you stay on the same page and on top of team projects. No more misplaced files or tedious back and forth. If you'd like to design like a pro with Canva Pro, you can right now by getting a free 45-day extended trial when you use our promo code. Just go to canva.me/brownambition to get your free 45-day extended trial. That's canva.me/brownambition. canva.me/brownambition.
Hey, BA fam, I can't wait to tell you about our sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is everything to sell anything. Squarespace has the tools you need to get your business off the ground, including e-commerce templates, inventory management, a simple checkout process, and secure payments. Whatever you sell, Squarespace has merchandising features to make your products look their best online.
I love me some Squarespace. This is where I sell my children's book stuff, Molly Moore. So you can connect with your audience like I do and generate revenue through gated member-only content. Manage your members, send email communications, and leverage audience insights all on one easy-to-use platform. You can even present your videos from YouTube, Vimeo, and Animoto on your Squarespace site. So if you want to get like us, go head on over to squarespace.com/brownambition for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code BROWNAMBITION to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Squarespace.com/brownambition, offer code BROWNAMBITION.
You are backish now. Do you want to talk about how you approached your new can we call it a business venture, your new Patreon membership community?
Yeah, did I
'Cause
tell you numbers now? It's so crazy.
I want to hear about it. Well, tell Brown Ambition, like, what is the community? What was your thought behind it? And yeah, what's going on?
So I said, like, I was talking to Mandy and I was just like, figuring out like what, like when I was in Bali, what did I miss? And I missed going live. I miss teaching basically. And one of the ways that I used to teach like a lot is if you follow me on social media, I would go live, especially on Instagram. And I missed it so much so that even when I was in Bali, I had taken a social media everything hiatus. There were times when I was tempted to download Instagram just to go live because I would have learned a lesson that day while I was at the waterfall, or learned a lesson while I was like, hiking or whatever. And I wanted to share it. And I realized, okay, Tiffany, you really love teaching, but honestly, I dislike social media for myself now. I used to really enjoy it, but it got to a place where it's like, social media is like, you're like in this movie and you're ready to sit down and people are running past you and you feel like, well, I guess I should run too. Even though you're tired, you want to sit down. And so social media kept showing me that like, get up, keep going, get up, keep going. And it was hard for me to say, you don't need to run. I don't know what stage those folks are in their race. Let them run. But it was hard because it was a daily reminder of, girl, you ain't doing enough. Maybe you're getting lazy. Oh, you're losing your touch. And so I was like, so I've been pulling myself back from social, but I'm like, well, then how do I reach my folks and teach like I like to without being on social? So I thought about it, like Logan and I, like I said, there's only 3 people left on the team. I was telling Logan, I said, here's a list of like the 20 things that the budgetista does and how it makes money. I'm not doing all that. Spokesperson work and brand ambassador work, which is kind of like one and the same. That I'll keep. Speaking engagements, I like speaking. And then I want to do something where I get to like teach live. Those are the 3 things I'm committed that I like doing. What do you want to do? That's what I told her. She was like, well, I like these 3 things. I said, all right, as long as you make your salary. I don't, like that's on you. And she was like, okay. So we took our 2 or 3 things off the table. And so the live thing, I said, I'm going to create a Patreon. I had thought about it last year about doing digital mentoring because I've got like 10 like mentees that I speak to on a regular basis, but I really can't add on like, as many people that ask me. And I thought, well, what if I can, instead of going live on Instagram, I can go live here on Patreon? Because what I love about Patreon is that once I'm done, it's just us. It's not the whole world. Like Patreon, you get to live in your own bubble on your Patreon page. And I said, what if I do that? And so I went live on kind of like where it was like my backish live, maybe like 2 weeks ago on Instagram and like all my social platforms, just to kind of give people an update like I shared with y'all. And I told folks like, my Patreon's open. The purpose of it is digital mentoring. It's less budgetista, more Tiffany Aliche, meaning like we already have my Literature Academy. You already have my social. I'm not going to teach you how to raise your credit score over there. We're not budgeting over there. It's not about debt. It's about personal and professional development. And for business and entrepreneurship. That's it. Personal, professional development, business, entrepreneurship. That is my Patreon is about. Like, how do you go from here to here as a person, but also as a business while you're growing your business? So it's specifically for that type of woman, especially Black women, right? Although I don't turn anyone away, but like, just know I'm gonna say sis. And if you are a cis white man, as long as you don't mind that, hey sis, you can get it too. And so I said, I'm going to launch it. And my goal in my head was 1,000 people by the end of the year. I was like, I think I could do it. I think I could do it.
When you told me that, I was like,
do you know within 24 hours, 1,000 people signed up?
Yes,
I was like,
that.
wait,
Duh.
what?
Duh. Sorry. So annoying how you don't realize how huge you are.
And so right now we're at like 1,200. It's like 1,193. So about 1,200 people have signed up. And it's been great. We did so the thing is, so I've set clear boundaries that I am going to promise one live lesson a month. You'll be able to watch it live and like participate. Like I tell you ahead of time when I'm going to go, and you can watch the replay. It's posted forever. And like, I will share regularly, like, resources and tools and what the things that I'm using or have used for success, whether it's writing a New York Times bestseller, launching a successful podcast, like hiring, firing in business, how to hit your quotas, all these types of things that I've learned, in business, being 14 years in business. And so, yeah, because I see a lot of people. I'm not here to like shame anyone with their high ticket item. But for me, I feel like one of the roles that I play in the marketplace is to give an accessible amount, so mine is just $10 a month on purpose because, although I don't need a reason to quantify, but I like for people to understand like why at that price point. It's like, one, I want it to be as accessible to many people as possible. Two, y'all not gonna stress me out. For $10 a month, I'm like, I'm not answering every question individually. No, I'm not jumping on the call. Like, I'm like, like if you mad, certainly you can withdraw your $10. We all right here, sis. And, so even though I say one live a month, the truth is I do more than that. But I wanted to give like, this is what's guaranteed. And I'm really enjoying myself over there. The audience has been like, my mentees over there have been awesome. Actually, by the time this comes out, you'll have missed it, but our next live is actually on Tuesday because today's Monday we're taping, is we're doing a business and an entrepreneur Q&A. And so I'm taking questions right now from my mentees, putting them in a spreadsheet, seeing because some questions kind of overlap. And for like an hour and a half, I will answer as many questions as possible, both live and the ones pre-given. And so that's our next mentor live session. So I'm excited about it because some of the questions I'm like, oh, this is a really good one. And they're going to be shocked by the answer. How like what a great tool or resource that I can share. And so, I'm sharing everything from like my contracts to my book proposal, like the one that got me nine big publishers wanting to sign me. And that got me my multi-six-figure book proposal deal. So like, yeah, it's just a place where I get to share all of my knowledge. And so, yeah. And so I can't believe my sister said only you within 24 hours will launch a 6-figure business. Cause you figure 1,000 people times $10 is $10,000 a month. And that's what, 120 a year, although Patreon takes like a percentage. But do you see, it's crazy because I thought to myself, wow, look at the seeds planted that I can share this thing and then have 1,000 people sign up within 24 hours and, make $10,000 a month from the rip. But that is because I used to tell Dr. Green, like, oh, I wish maybe I had done things differently. She said, no, you don't get to judge past Tiffany. Past Tiffany is the reason why you don't have to work right now. Past Tiffany is the reason why you don't have to worry about financially. She did what she had to do, and you're here as a result. And I'm like, true. Past Tiffany has created chillin' Tiffany. And so, but yeah, if you're interested, it's just called mymentortiffany.com. And and you can join us over there. It's good fun times.
Yeah, it's you and Issa Rae for me. You're my two Patreon. That's the level of adoration. It's you and Issa Rae. Well, congratulations. And it's also as painful as that big business. I don't want to like discount the business decision that you had to make and the personal decision you had to make to let go of 17 Budgetnista or Live Richer,
Unicorn
staff.
Squad, yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I think for anyone listening, like that is what happens when you sometimes put yourself first. I mean, those difficult decisions, I coach a lot of women now on how to leave work environments, how to quit and move on to a better situation for themselves, and the agony and the time and the stress and the anxiety over inconveniencing other people or
Yes.
doing something that is that you can perceive to be for you and not for someone else. Even though I think you also gave those women an incredible opportunity to work for a Black female CEO and to watch from the inside a business like that grow and thrive. I can't even say I got to experience that through my career. I never got to work for a Black female CEO, and how many of us don't, right? So all that takes nothing away from the job experience you gave them, the opportunities to advance, the safe community, the unicorn squad, like those connections that they've made. And I think when we look at it that way, and I mean, I encourage anyone to look at it that way, it's all positive. And even if it had to end at this moment in time, it takes nothing away from the value, that you starting your business from scratch gave to them. And also the message that now you can move forward with clarity and do this new community in the way that you want to and feel good about it without having to keep something else running because you feel some sort of loyalty or, like you said, like obligation to that. You can be free and lighter and be
Yeah.
light and chill. Chill Tiffany. I like chill Tiffany.
I know. I like her
Feels like
too.
it feels like I get to know you all over again in a way. But isn't that what life is? I feel like we change. We do. It's impossible for you to not change after going through what you've been through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
I know.
My mentor, Tiffany. So don't email her anymore. Get your $10 ready.
Yeah, my mentor
There you go.
Tiffany.com. Yes. Like
Mm-hmm.
enjoy this on over there. We have honestly, that is a happy place for me. I'm just like, I love it there. I'm there all the time.
Yeah.
Just like, like I said, I don't be answering every question, but I read them and I'm like, I'll answer them on the live.
Yeah. So it's you, Rose, and Logan. Dang.
I know. It's awesome though, because we don't do, I hate meetings, but I'm not gonna lie. I hate meetings. We don't do
Yeah.
meetings. Like I told Logan, if you put myself on my my calendar, I better see a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
It better be that you have like some big
There's
business
something
to
to
discuss.
see.
Yes.
It's funny how you coming, well, I know back lowercase b back-ish, to Brown Ambition, understood, message received. But when, we used to have like a monthly meeting with our network, that was always like, could never really find the right time for it. Never really seemed to be that important, but it was always on the calendar.
Yeah.
And when you were coming back and it was like, okay, let's look at the time for this meeting and having you, I'm like, is this worth Tiffany's? If it's not worth Tiffany's time, let's not do it. You know what I mean? Like, and I just knew this does not have to be a meeting. It has to be an email. It's fine.
Yes. Yes.
But I needed you to sort of like to think of other than myself. Because if I was honest, it wasn't worth anyone's time really
Yes.
to have
Because
the
so many things can
meeting.
be a message or a quick call because I'm like, Logan, I can be at Target right now. Why you put this on the calendar? Because now I'm sitting in front of my computer like, girl, like, because most of the times it's like, because I want people who I hire, I actually like them. And so like Logan and I will chit chat and I could be at Target like, ooh, girl, did you know they have these new jeans? Let me see, send me a picture. So like I was saying about today's post, like when I say I hate meetings, I hate formal meetings, but no, informally, quick phone call, we talk, I check up on you. How's your mom? How's your, I love that. I love connecting. And so I just realized, so we don't do that. The only standing meeting I really have is Tamra, because I want to make sure that she has the support she needs. And my finance person, I meet with her once a month just to go over the monthly P&L statement and how things are going. But the truth is, like I do quick, like I called my finance person this morning, George A., and I said, hey, for Patreon, the money is in there. Should we have it connected to PayPal or Stripe? I said, can you do a financial analysis to see where we get the most? Because each of them takes their own kind of fees and where, and she was like, okay, that was a 5-minute call versus because before it was, let me get on Tiffany's calendar to do that. No, like text me real quick. It might be just a quick yes, no, maybe. And so like, I love the fact that I don't have standing meetings with Rose or Logan. Because also one of the lessons that I learned in business is that if I have to run behind you, then I already know you're not right for that position.
Yeah.
Meaning like, you know, if I have to like, oh, let me check. Like when I tell you how little I'm in my inbox now, and I realized that I was in my inbox a lot before because the admins I had before, although they were great folks, they just weren't the right person for that job. So I always had to like double check to make sure nothing slipped through. With Rose, I know that if it's important and she doesn't know what to do, she'll let me know, you know, and she's awesome at what she does. I mean, like everything from sending flowers to my mom for Mother's Day to I had her negotiate our first contract, like a speaking engagement that didn't want to pay me my full amount. And I knew if I got on the call that I would close the deal. Cause you know, I get on the call, they're like, oh my God, Janisa, I love you, Janisa. I'm like, give me my money. And they're like, okay. But I said, Rose, you don't negotiate. She was like, me? I was like, she said, but what if I don't get it? I said, so? I said, one, we made our quota for the year already. I had a number in mind that I wanted to make that everybody got paid well, including me for once. And I said, we already made that number. So worst case scenario, they say kick rocks and then they kick rocks and we keep it moving. So I told her exactly what to say. I told her what they were likely to say and the motivation behind it. And she said everything. And they went from asking us to give them a discount to saying, we found the money. We can't wait to work with you. She was so excited, but now she's empowered. I'm like, girl, because I'm not trying to get on another damn meeting if I don't have to. Like, let Rose do it. And so like, girl, like, cause I'm like, yo, when I tell you, I be walking 3 hours a day and listen to my Audible. I'm like, that's my day. Like today after this, I'm like, if it wasn't raining outside, that's what I'll do next. Maybe I'll do laundry today. You know, I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I'll like go hang out with my sister because the kids should be back from school soon. And maybe I'll go play with the crazies. Like that's my niece and my nephew. That's what I call them. And so like, this is how I want life to go. One where it's just like, you know, maybe I'll call one of my mentees and pour into them. And so like, yeah, I'm excited about this shift, but yeah, this is like, you know, but it does feel good to be back here. Like I'm like eager to see like what it all shakes out to be, especially now that we're WEBBY Award winners. You see us? Did we even say that? I was like, yo.
Yeah, well, yes, on social, but not officially. Yes, not
Yes,
here.
let's
Thank
tell
y'all. Newsflash,
Yo,
yes.
I know.
Two
Yes, tell them,
WEBBYs.
Mandy. Yes, two of
Two
them.
WEBBYs. And also, listen, Brown Ambition is a garden that we sowed 7 years ago,
Yes.
right? I had a very frustrating phone call, my first frustrating phone call with a coaching client. I've coached 200 women since last July. It's been phenomenal, this journey. And I had yet to have an interaction with one where it was like just not the right fit. You know what I mean? And this particular one, you know, someone who was starting a podcast and had asked me for feedback and I was giving it. And the resistance to the notion of organic audience growth and that it takes time and it takes consistency and showing up. And I had no secret tricks. If you want my advice on how to build a podcast, I got no secret tricks in terms of, pay this exact amount in ads or, you know, do this amount of promotion. There's no tricks. Tiff and I have shown up, you know, for the most part every week for 7 years, and created content that people enjoyed and kept doing it. And I think what is great about the whole award situation is it's nice. Let's not kid around. Like it's nice to get recognized in about damn time. You know what I mean? Okay, Plutus Awards, where the hell y'all at? We keep getting nominated and never win. But anyway, like and it feels nice and gratifying to have that recognition. But Tiff and I, we haven't done the show for that. It was always, you know, to make ourselves and our audience feel good. And I think that that's why we continue showing up. If you're showing up for the awards and for the numbers and for the sponsorships and things like that, what an empty, unfulfilling way to approach it. Anyway, and I think that it was good to have that kind of awkward interaction because it reinforced for me why there's not going to be another I ain't got to worry. Yeah. You know, there's not another Brown Ambition because we get it. I think at the end of the day,
we do
why we're here and what we're doing it for, and take away the awards, and we're still showing up, right? So thank y'all. Thank you so much for voting. Thank you, Dreamcatchers. Yes. Thank you, BA fam. Yes. Thank you, Logan. Thank you, Amber, on our social team at BA for promoting it. Yeah, it feels damn good. Do we get a trophy or something? I don't actually know what happens now.
Yeah, we have to ask because we got not just like the people's choice, but the judges
Yes.
too, which is like,
Mhm.
oh, we went on both sides. Cause just like for full clarity, that was
Mhm.
amazing that it was like, oh, wow, y'all voted and we won. But also the judges, we got an award from the judges, which is like, so, it's not often that you can win on both sides of the aisle, which is like the people love you, but then like, the powers that be. So it's like,
Yeah.
we out here.
We out here. We been out here. And even through and y'all have stayed so loyal and,
Yes.
the show has grown this past year. And I think there was a time, when Tiffany after Jarrell had passed, where even I had no idea what the future of Brown Ambition was. And I had made my peace with it. I'm like, okay, this was an amazing journey. It's me and Tiffany or bust. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what it would be like doing it or trying to do it solo. And y'all have shown up like and continue to show up. And, I think that's a beautiful testament to that, the relationships that we've built with our audience, and you guys
But you
are
held it down.
wonderful.
Like, it's just like you've grown, from like
Yeah.
this corporate badass to like this entrepreneur, like, you're soaring
Yeah.
and now you're like this like go-to influencer. So it's like you got a chance to like flex your chops, I don't even know if that's a word, like hone your chops, flex your, either way, you know what I mean.
Cut your
I'm so my
teeth.
dad's daughter. He always mixes up metaphors and like
Yeah.
simple. I'm like, flex your chops. I'm sure that's not the word, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You really got a chance. Like, I love to see how you have stepped in to this space and are like shining. And it's just like, in only 1 year, that's incredible. I mean, I know you look at it like, wow, I'm like, girl, do you have any idea what I was doing here, one?
I know. I'm like, yes, I get it. It's fine. I know. I'm going to do a lot more reflecting and coming up on my 1 year anniversary in 1 month of
That's
establishing
crazy.
my LLC. And it's hard to wrap my head around it too, but I got to get some reflection and gratitude affirmations in my head real quick. Cause the anxiety and doubt dog, my ugly doubt dog that kind of like sits on my desk and yaps at me every once in a while has been coming back. And I it's more of that mindset work that I'm trying to do now and just like appreciate
Good.
what you have done. Of course, I wasn't replacing my corporate salary in a year, but
Yes.
I've done okay.
She's done
I'm on
excellent,
my
y'all. First of all, Mandy is being she's being humble because first of all, her corporate salary she was making surgeon money. Okay, I'm not trying to put her business out here, but it's not like she had a regular corporate salary. So of course she's not replacing that big old paycheck in 1 year. And then on top of that, she's done really well. Like, first year I made 15,000 gross, take home 5,000. I'm laughing because I was living off of French fries. And meanwhile, I was a whole 31. Okay, it wasn't like, well, that's because you were 19. No, I was a grown lady. And so year 2, I think I made 35,000. Year 3, 50. Then year 4, I think I made like 75, then 150. And then like success is cumulative. It layers on top of each other. And so you have put in the work. And so you are you are doing literally 10 times better than I was when I first started. And so I'm just really proud of you because it's only going to grow and this is not just for Mandy, but for everyone. Like, you don't have to work on being more yourself. Like, Mandy is a hard worker and smart. That part is the easy part. It's like, you ain't got to work on that, girl. We get it. You're smart. You're hard. Like, at any moment in time, if let's just say you had a weak month or whatever, you could do that, financial editing on the side and make the coin you need to make sure that the family's fine. So that part is secured. It's really the other part that you said about the anxiety, am I good enough? Am I that? If you master that part of you, Mandy, oh my gosh, you will be unstoppable. So many of us work on the parts of ourselves that are already developed. And then we're like a baby in this other part. But it's like, really, success is self-mastery. Self-mastery. Do you know how to have the hard conversations? Have you stopped people pleasing? Have you looked in the mirror and said, hey, I am good enough? Do you take your mistakes personally and have you learned how to stop doing it? That's self-mastery. If you can do that, then it opens the door and unlocks everything else. Like, I could have been much more successful in business if I worked on not needing the approval of others, because it forced me, needing their approval had me hire people who, weren't always the nicest because I was like, well, I don't want her to be mad at me. Da, da, da. Oh my God, girl. If I could have been like, actually, you can go. I could have grown faster.
Mm.
If I had self-mastery and, being more assertive, I could have gotten more money from brands that I know were trying to just play me. But do you see, when you master that other stuff becomes easy. And so I tell that to my mentees all the time. I'm like, cause they're always wanting like tricks and tips about marketing and, scaling and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to show you that stuff, but it's not going to be as effective until you master these internal struggles within you, because then it's gasoline on the fire of those external things. Because most people don't work on those internal things. You do that, sky is the mother effing limit.
Uh, I get that. And for me, it's a daily, there's days when I got it and there's days when I don't. And I think I'm making peace with the days that I don't, and realizing, as someone who deals with like clinical depression, especially after having my son,
Yeah.
I made peace with like, there's going to be lulls. Like there's going to be times when but then what are your support systems, and what are your, what levers can you pull to get yourself through it? Because there's happiness, and you're going to get back to that place of strength, on the other side of it. And going with those flows has really, really helped me as an entrepreneur. I didn't realize how I had set myself up for success in that way. Already working on so much mindfulness around anxiety and depression in 2020 after having my son and dealing with that, because as an entrepreneur, it's the same thing. It's like, at the end of the day, I wasn't going to be able to control my child and fix him as I was trying to do through my anxiety. And as a business owner, I've had to make peace with, there may be things that fall through. It may not work out how I always envisioned it. I may, screw up something or could have done this better or whatever, but okay, that's the thing that's happened, and you've got to move through it and learn from it and do better the next time, and don't put so much damn pressure to have everything perfect. And like you said, sometimes I'm a lot easier on myself about my mistakes than even other people. And I'm like, damn, you must be hard on yourselves. Like, I just made a mistake. It's not that big of a deal. We all make mistakes. But you're right. It's that mindset. It's a mindset mastery.
Yes.
And who are the other voices and influence I'm going to allow into my little bubble, and what voices are there? I'm so glad that your voice is back in the mix. I have to say that.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, Ish.
Yes. If you guys, honestly, hopefully this is not just for y'all. Like, if you have not invited somebody to listen to Divine Ambition, I think this is a really great episode for them to hop on in, because I feel like there's going to be a message for so many people here about what it looks like to master yourself, but also to find enough and being okay with that. So we welcome you to welcome your bestie, work mom, even your work dad. He can listen too.
Wild. We couldn't have taped this show 7 years ago.
No,
we weren't here. You know what I mean? Like, we've grown and matured in such like extraordinary ways. The show is never the same. Yep. And for those of you, I hear them all the time on like DMing me. I just started listening. I'm starting at the beginning. I'm like, you about to go on a journey.
A journey.
So you think you're talking to 2015 Mandy? No,
yeah, I
catch
know.
up.
Yes,
2022
so
Mandy's a whole different animal.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
What a privilege. What a freaking privilege. And this also feels like a reset for what does even brown ambition mean? It's not just accumulating wealth for the sake of it. It's really not.
Yeah.
I still love our show title because it gives room for that. But
yeah,
if I could define brown ambition today versus what I thought of it 7 years ago, it is the understanding that there's nothing wrong with wanting more and wanting to achieve things, if they matter to you. But it's also about understanding that, as especially Black and brown people, and our listeners are largely Black women, we have to take care of ourselves along the way so that that ambition actually leads to happiness and not just more misery. We deal with enough of that shit waking up, every day. And that's a beautiful thing that I'm proud to be a part of. Hey, BA fam, this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Y'all know life can be overwhelming, and many people around us are feeling burnt out, and you may be feeling burnt out, and you may not even know it yet. Symptoms can include lack of motivation, feeling helpless or trapped, detachment, fatigue, and more. We often associate burnout with work, but that may not be the only cause. Any of our roles in life can lead us to feeling burnt out, and BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to prioritize yourself. Talking with someone can help you figure out what's causing stress in your life. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can get matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. The best part is Brown Ambition listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/brownambition. That's better, HELP.com/brownambition. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/brownambition. All right, BA fam, we're back. We're black, we're brown.
Yes. Well, since it was a pretty long show, I'm just going to do just a real quick brown boost to asking for help. You know, sometimes it's really hard, especially for us brown folks, to allow people to look after themselves. When I went to Bali, I thought to myself, I'm here to learn how to take better care of myself, self-care, self-care. That's that word self. But what I realized, because the Balinese are known for their kindness that is non-transactional. It's not unexpected. Tipping is not this huge thing. And people are literally not just kind to you as a tourist, but kind to each other. And I thought to myself, it took me almost a whole trip to realize, one of the lessons I'm here to learn is not how to take care of myself, but how to allow others to take care of me. Because literally, I had a woman would come every other day, and she would take my laundry, or they would come and clean, because I'd rented a villa. And so I found myself cleaning, and she was like, after the fourth time, she was like, stop. I'm like, no, but I feel bad because I don't want you to. She's like, no, this is, Tiffany, you are a blessing. For 2 years, we've had no tourists. They were shut down during the pandemic. For 2 years, we've had no tourists. The fact that you're here and I can clean the villa is a blessing to me and my family. You're doing me a disservice by cleaning, because if you do that, then the villa owner's going to be like, well, we don't need you. So I learned for me to be like, Tiffany, allowing people to take care of you is one of the best gifts that not only you could give yourself, but to give to other people. I didn't realize that my friends who wanted to lean in and help me through this time, blocking them I wasn't shielding them from anything. I was actually making life harder for them as well. And so asking for help and allowing people to help you, that is my brown boost, that you are deserving of allowing people to lean in and to look after you. And so don't be afraid to ask for help.
So does that mean you'd like to order another dozen chocolate chip cookies? Because
oh my God, please don't.
Bringing them.
Mandy's chocolate chip cookies. I'm not even gonna lie, they were so. Me and Alyssa, she's like, Mandy bought chocolate chip cookies. We have been dogging those daggone cookies. They are just amazing. And I'm like, Mandy, no more. Okay, a little bit more.
I'll put you down for another order. It's been a while. Okay. I only brought them twice. I'm going to do a boost. I would love to boost Mandy Moneymakers. I just opened applications for my third cohort. I can't believe in January, this was an idea that didn't even really exist. And now I am about to welcome my third cohort of Mandy Moneymakers. So if you want to join the June cohort, you can go to mandymoney.com and apply. When I approached Mandy Moneymakers, I thought, let's make this small. I didn't want to create a business where I felt like I couldn't really connect to people. Mm-hmm. So as I'm figuring things out, at least in my first year, I was like, I want to do small group coaching sessions, and I want there to be magic in the air. I want people to come, women to come, and to feel like they are learning every day from me, but also from one another. And it's just been this largely incredible journey. So my second cohort is about to graduate, my second little cohort of Mandy Moneymakers. And I'm ready. I decided I'm going to start in June. So mandymoney.com to apply. And I mean apply, write words in your application. Sorry, what?
How many people are you taking on? What's the max?
I'm maxing it out at 40. So my first cohort was about 25. Second one is about 20. And I wanted them to stay small. But I think I'm gonna experiment going a little bit bigger this time and just see how that feels. this is all an experiment. And I'm just kind of opening myself up to, okay, let's see how this feels.
Okay.
Anything over 50 starts to feel, I just don't know if we would ever have the personal connections that we're having with one another. And then each time Mandy Moneymakers graduate from the program, you get inducted into, or you get the option to continue in the alumni community. And I have ongoing events. We just had Janice Torres Rodriguez from Yo Quiero Dinero was our first guest speaker
I love her.
at our alumni event. And oh God, I love her. She's amazing.
She
And
is.
she talked a lot about mindset too, because you think that she started that brand overnight and she's a success. No. But yeah, it's been wonderful. Yeah. So I'm really proud of that. I can't believe it's my third cohort.
Go ahead, Mandy. Look at that.
Yeah.
See,
I'm
they
still
tried
at
to
like,
bury you, but they didn't know you was a seed. Now
ooh,
you're growing.
let's not talk about they.
I know.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And June's also going to be my 1-year entrepreneurversary.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to freaking acknowledge it. I'm going to
Good.
freaking acknowledge it.
Because you
Yes.
deserve. Like, I'm really proud of you.
And we never got to say congratulations to you either on your amazing, like, we all know you're a New York Times bestselling author, but right before you took your hiatus, you were about to cross over the 100,000 books sold
Yes.
mark, right?
Before, I don't even know why Penguin said that. I think they were talking about hardcover, but in books total, I was already over 100, meaning like ebooks as well as Kindle and audio. So now I want to say we're at 141,000 books sold.
Yeah.
And just for context, like 25,000 they consider good, 50 they consider great, 100,000 they consider. I'm talking about in a lifetime. And so to have done
That's
that
a
within the first
unicorn.
year,
No, 25. I've heard 10 is what you can hope. 10,000 is what a really good debut. And I've heard that from someone who works on nonfiction
okay, you mean
books
within
like
the first
that.
year, or you mean within the first week?
In the first year.
Oh,
Like
really?
10K. 10K.
Oh, I
That's
didn't
like,
know that.
that's like, here's what you can expect. 10K is good. Like that's a reasonable
Wow.
goal to make.
I
So
didn't
you're
know
like
that. I didn't know.
15x. Everyone probably has their own,
Yes.
their own subjective opinions about what's a good debut and what's not, but we can
Yeah.
all objectively agree that's phenomenal.
And then they told me that like one thing I did learn is that like in 2021, Get Good with Money was the #1 selling new personal finance book of the year. Like I was like, for Penguin, they're like, no, for all personal finance books that were categorized as such that year that launched in 2021, yours sold more than any of them. I'm like, but like some of these big names came out there, like I know. Just so that's just incredible, like just letting that like settle for me, because sometimes you get like on to the next. I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm just like, or how I used to call myself baby millionaire. Remember I used to say that? And I'm like, oh, Tiffany, stop with the bullshit. You're a millionaire. It's fine. It's happened.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to acknowledge. I felt like awkward about it and I felt bad. And it's like, no, it's okay to acknowledge the good work you've put in. And this book is like, yeah, I'm really proud of it. Yes, for the numbers that it's hit, but what I really, really, really am proud of, how many people come up to me and said, this was really helpful. Like I was at I was someone out last night and this guy came up to me. He said, I got my girlfriend your book for her birthday. And he showed me a picture of how he put it like in a basket with like a bottle of wine and so she could have like a Zen night. And he was like, because I got it for myself at first and it was so helpful. So many men, that's what shocked me too about it. Like, I'm like, really? Because, it's not anti-man, not at all. But in the book, my audience is largely women. So I say, sis and girl, get that dress from Target. Like I say that. And so, yeah, it's just amazing. I'm like, look at us growing.
Continued success. You paving the way, dude. I mean, you're literally, and more women of color will get book deals because of the success of that book. So if you need someone to remind you how fucking amazing it is, just talk to me.
Thanks, man.
Because I know for a fact the proposed, like the success of future Black female authors who want to write personal finance books, your book is going to be in every single proposal as an example of, because that's part of the proposal.
You're
I'm
right.
writing one right now, is where you have to talk about the market and who else is out there. The success of your book is going to make publishers less afraid to work with women of color and put them on the title, put them on the cover. You know what I mean?
Well, let me know if you want a copy of my proposal, girl. You got to be, well, you're a mentee anyway, so we're going to post it, but I'll give you a copy.
Yeah. All right, Tiff. Well, that is the show, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. As Tiff said,
Yes.
tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Take a
Yeah.
screenshot, tag us in this post. Tell us how excited you are to see Tiffany back. And of course, all positive love and thoughts
Yeah.
to Tiffany. Don't,
Thank you.
or I guess if you can't, reach out to Tiffany on IG anymore, say hi, Logan.
No, I'm
That's
on IG a
creating the
little bit,
content.
but like, yes, it is
Okay.
largely Logan. But yeah, I am there every once in a while. Once a week, I poke my head in and like, or she'll send me a
Mm.
screenshot if you guys send me something nice. Like, she's like, look, isn't this sweet? I'm like, yeah, it is. Tell them I said hi.
And what's the website again for the Patreon?
It's mymentortiffany.com.
mymentortiffany.com. All right. Beautiful. That's it. We did it.
Yeah, we did it, Joe.
Bye.